Oh, hi, I didn't see you there. My name is Bliss Foster, and today we're going to be talking about why it always feels like everyone has cooler clothes than you. There is no shortage of content on the internet about FOMO and people feeling kind of insecure because of the effects of being connected to everyone else in the world at all times, but I think we have a particular problem with this in the fashion nerd community. There's this lingering feeling that you have when you're scrolling through your Instagram feed, checking through like a Facebook group that you happen to be a part of, your Discord server, whatever, and just looking at everyone else's outfits and feeling like nothing in your closet is very cool in comparison. It also doesn't help that by the nature of this hobby that we all have, we are constantly exposed to endless quantities of new products that we either do not have or cannot afford. I don't think there's any need to belabor the point here. I think everyone understands what I'm talking about, and I respect your time, so we're just gonna dive straight into this, okay? We're conditioned, whether we like this or not. Obviously, it's sort of embarrassing to admit this, but we're all kind of conditioned to feel like the number of likes or responses or engagement that we get when we post an outfit of ourselves on the internet is some kind of objective quantifier of how good it actually is. My goal here is to kind of inject a little bit of reality and some good things to keep in mind with this as you move forward in your fashion journey and your personal style journey and all of that. I've been completely obsessed with clothes since 2012, and I've never been a particularly shy person, so I've kind of always jumped at the opportunity to be able to post outfits of myself online. Until this channel started gaining some kind of traction, I posted outfits online for years and they got absolutely no traction at all. And that can feel incredibly discouraging, especially when the outfit that's posted before and after yours look like ones that are way, way better than the one that you posted. I'm honestly convinced, and I don't say this to be self-deprecating, but I really think that my style is pretty unorthodox. I personally like the way that I dress a lot. It makes me very happy. But even to this day, I don't think that there would be any traction on different forums that I was on if I didn't already have a YouTube channel. I'm somewhat recognizable, and I think that is mostly what's responsible for the upvotes. And to be honest, off the top of my head, I could name a whole bunch of people on my private Discord server that have way better wardrobes than I do. Tons of pieces that I'm jealous of, tons of stuff that I will never be able to afford. I am just as mired and stuck in this mentality of feeling less than as the rest of you might be. And by the way, if you are looking for a fashion community online that is awesome and will very purposefully build you up rather than trying to shit all over you whenever you try to post a fit, my private Discord server is the best. Good conversations, cool people, very knowledgeable industry professionals. It's the best fashion community on the internet. We're gonna bounce around a little bit here today, but the first major thing that I wanna cover is that your personal style is not a solvable problem. Especially in the menswear community, we tend to think of this hobby sort of in the same way that we think about like sports statistics or like being into cars and stuff, where it's like, this is something where you can find the solution and arrive at that solution. That honestly is not a good way of thinking about it. First of all, it's a hobby. Like, if you really enjoy this stuff, why would you want to leave? It's something that is supposed to be developing and ongoing. I know that probably doesn't make anybody feel better, so let me elaborate a little bit because I think this is actually a really important point. I used to have a boss at a job that said a lot of things to me that have ended up sticking with me a whole bunch, and one of them was this certain thing that was a KPI, a key performance indicator, kind of whether or not I'm doing my job well. It's a long story, but let's just say that this KPI is measured on a scale of 0 to 100, and I couldn't really get it past 80. And I sat down with him during a quarterly review, and I was like, I'm very frustrated with this because I feel like I am doing a whole lot. I'm wrestling with this problem a great deal, and I can't move the dial past 80, and I want that to be at 100, and I don't feel like I'm doing a satisfactory job because of that. I would like your input on where this can improve. The way that he explained it was that he said, Bliss, there are solvable problems that you find the solution to, and then the problem can be set aside. And then there are other things that are meant to be wrestled with in an ongoing way. He said the whole reason that you are in the position that you're in is because if no one was attending to that 0 to 100 scale, it would just sit at 25 all the time. The fact that you're there means that it's moved up to 80, and all that you need to focus on is moving that dial slightly further. There's nothing that's going to move it to 100 and let it sit there. He was like, the fact that you are wrestling with that problem, that is where the win is. Fashion is a solo sport, and it really doesn't feel like it because it feels like we are competing in this like Mount Olympus where everyone is better than you type of thing, but it's really not like that. The whole thing about personal style is that it is your personal style. And what's more on that is that we're wrestling with our personal style while we probably do not have $10,000 every month to spend on clothes, while we are dealing with the body that we were dealt at birth, and while we are dealing with whatever our local thrift is like. There are a lot of mitigating factors here that we really do not have a lot of control over. If you're able to do it, try to keep the perspective that everyone else in fashion feels like this. Every person in this community, every YouTuber, every style icon, every writer for GQ can name 8 or 9 people off the top of their head who have way better wardrobes than them, and oh my gosh, if I had this coat but I can't get a hold of that coat, whatever. Everyone feels like there are many people who are on the level that is above where they are at. And so honestly, the only solution in a situation like that is to understand that the only person that you are really competing with is yourself. The one thing that I think can help with this outfit FOMO thing is avoid trends as much as you possibly can. I've said this a million times, but if you watch this channel, you're probably too cool for trends anyway. Trend items are the #1 cause of this feeling of, oh my gosh, I'm so excited, this is gonna look so dope, and then 2 months later feeling like you have something that is absolutely worthless. The temptation of trends is something that everyone who's into clothes struggles with in one way or another, but I feel like for a lot of guys, a lot of that comes from the fact that we probably got into fashion through some sort of extension of sneaker culture. And I like sneakers a lot. Sneakers are great, but the sneaker culture revolves so heavily around this cycle of one day this shoe is incredibly cool, this is the hype shoe, and then very quickly thereafter it is completely lame to own that shoe. I mean, for example, last Christmas I was at a mall in Atlanta and countless dudes were buying this shoe. Now, is there anything inherently wrong with this shoe? No, this is a great idea for a shoe. This is a brilliantly designed piece of art, in my opinion. But the way that the cycle works is that this shoe was super hype and everybody wanted it. And then, I think this one had a trend cycle of 2 months before it was just kind of ugh. So unless you have an enormous amount of money to spend on clothes every month and can just constantly be reselling things and, honestly losing money on them, just please avoid trends. It will make you so much happier. If you really like a certain designer, go find a piece of clothing or a different shoe that reflects that design philosophy in a really cohesive, beautiful way. But you've got to avoid trends. And it's really easy to spot trendy stuff. It's just anything that is ultra recognizable. Especially if it's something that your cousin who's not really into fashion but is sort of up on pop culture, if they recognize it, it's a no-go. So again, go easy on yourself. Remember that you are literally connected to every human being on earth on the internet, and that your wardrobe is great because it's stuff that you picked out and that is what your personal style is. It will come in time. Don't stress about it. Try to keep things in perspective. And join the Patreon so you can get on this Discord server. It really is a pretty incredible place. I'm actually rather excited to stop recording so I can check it again. Love you all a lot. Goodbye.